Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the deluxe release of Skaar, Son of Hulk. This is part of the Marvel 85th anniversary. As you can see, it does say celebrating 85 years down there at the bottom. So this is a new one. I got this from toysnowman.com, so link in the video description below. It's my referral link. Use that link, create your account, first time account, new accounts. We'll get a 5% off coupon code in the Frost Reward. So Toy Snowman gets a lot of Marvel Legends and figures in early. So I was able to get these from him. So currently this figure is unfortunately out of stock, but please do keep Toy Snowman in mind for all your future action figure needs. Should make sure to check them out, get pre-orders in with them. Link in the video description below. Here we have Skaar, Son of Hulk. Again, this is a deluxe figure, and one that I wasn't like real excited about, real hyped up about or anything. Looks good for sure, but there was nothing super exciting about it. I think there's only been one other Skaar figure released before, and that would have been years ago. I believe in the Fin Fang Foom Build-A-Figure wave. So quite a long time ago. Skaar, the character, did make his debut in the MCU in the She-Hulk television series on Disney+. Not a very good-looking Skaar that I think probably everybody would agree that it just didn't look good. So we have that there. But here we have this comic version. I want to say most of this body is reused. It's got pins in it, so that right there tells me it's an older figure. So I think it's going to be like the Caliban Build-A-Figure. I think it's going to be the same body as that. We'll take a look. I'll do a comparison so we can see. But I think that's what we have going on there. But anyway, let's get into it. Again, Marvel celebrating 85 years. We got the logo up at the top. We get the artwork on the side of Skaar, and that looks really good. There we get the full image of that artwork. Pretty cool. So now let's go ahead and get Skaar out of the package. And again, make sure to check out toysnowman.com. Okay, so here is the Skaar figure out of the package, and he's a pretty good one. And you will be happy to know that I was wrong. This does not use the Caliban Build-A-Figure body, because this figure has butterfly joints. The Caliban figure did not. The arms are also not the same, and I guess, well, there's no pins. I guess technically his arms are pinless, but it's because of the way the elbow is designed, whereas Caliban arms did have the pin there. The legs, though, the legs are the same. So, haha, I was partially right. So we got new arms, new torso, but the legs are in fact the same. The boots are obviously different, but that is why we have pins, because they reuse the legs. Do I care that much? Not really. It's green on green. The colors match, so it's not the end of the world. The elbows are single jointed, so they were going to be pinless regardless anyway. I would like to see everything be pinless, but when it's not, and it's same color, I'm good with it. Customizers like pins, so all good. Nobody complains about NECA's pins or anything like that. So all good with me. But here is the Skaar figure. We get a couple of accessories. We get two heads. I already swapped the head out, as you can see here. This one, I had to like move the hair so you can kind of like see the eyes. So when we get in for a closer look, you're going to, you got to move the hair around just so you could see his face. It's kind of crazy. It is very cool looking though. He's got a lot of hair, as you can see there. We get an additional set of hands. So out of the package, he's got fists, and then he's got two grip hands so he can hold his weapons. So we get a sword here, which looks pretty good. It's not super flimsy, not real pliable or bendy or anything like that. And then we also have a dagger, which has a sheath on his back. So as you can see there, this one is a little bit more pliable, a little bit more rubbery. Not terrible by any means, but not not as hard as plastic, which, isn't really a problem. So we'll take a closer look at those when we take a closer look at the figure, which we're going to get into right now. But also, I'm going to try and figure out... No, the arms and torso is new. We already figured that out. Never mind. Moving on. Let's get close. Let's get closer. Okay, and there is the close-up, and you can see the wind is just sweeping through that hair, as it's blowing there, so it kind of has like a little bit of an effect, with the wind. The long hair version, the amount of hair doesn't match, so this one's kind of a shorter hair version of Skaar. We get the gritted teeth on there. This head sculpt does look pretty good. The green eyes came out nice. The white of the teeth all looks really good. Eyebrows, a little bit of shading around the eyes. All came out looking really good. But again, two head sculpts, so we can pop this one off. We can pop this new one on, as you can see the way they do the hair, so it can, fit on the torso and drape over his shoulders there. So that one is good, but again, you don't really see his face. You got to like kind of move the hair out, and it's like, bam, there are his eyes, and those look pretty good. Just more of the stoic face But yeah, not bad. Drapes over nicely and everything like that. As we zoom out so we can take a look at the rest of the figure, because he's a big boy. We get some markings kind of throughout. So here on his right arm, we get some markings there on the shoulder, the bicep, a little bit onto the torso. We don't see that on the left side at all. It's just the right. His skin tone is all just kind of green throughout. There's no real paint to the body other than, you know, the little bit of marks on his shoulder on his right side. There we get like the loincloth skirt style piece that's there. The hip joint is, or hip piece is a brown piece, and you got like these furry boots here with like these stones armor, like shin guards there. One thing that I'm going to say is I really don't like the gray that they used throughout like the armor pieces here, because I think it just looks really cheap. So as we take a closer look at this, the wristband on the left, you know, it's got like these little spikes on there. It's just a shiny gray plastic. Like it looks kind of bad, actually. Like, why not do it a dark gray color, or, you know, something, or just maybe not like the shiny plastic. I just, in my opinion, it doesn't come out real good. The armor pieces on the back of the hands, as you can see there, same thing. It's just a pretty cheap looking gray. The armor piece here on like the loincloth skirt, like it's just, I don't know what the thought process was on using that gray. You know, is it to look like stone? You know, maybe that's it. It just doesn't, but it doesn't come off looking really good. Like here, it just, something about it just doesn't quite look right. Like if they would have done some shading onto it or some kind of wash or something, I think that would have made a big difference on the gray. But for me, it looks pretty cheap, and I'm just not a real big fan of it. It just isn't executed as nice as I would have hoped. And the same's going to go for the weapons. So here's a cool thing. So looking at, let's take a look at this dagger, for instance. The blade of the dagger, you know, whether it's made out of some kind of metal or you know, some kind of stone, it's just cheap looking. It's got a little bit of shine to it. It's just no color in it at all, and it just doesn't look as good. You know, a silver paint would have been nice if it was metal blade, or, you know, to make it look like stone, there's something they could have done. Because look at the bottom of this dagger. That is like a full-on rock piece, right? And I guess it's just in the sculpt of it, as you could see, it's kind of got a little bit of texture to it, so it helps that the gray isn't just real flat. And that makes a huge difference, in my opinion. Like, if all these armor pieces had that similar texture, I think it would have looked pretty good. Not that this is completely smooth, but just doesn't quite look right. But this right here, this cuff, that's all smooth, and that just doesn't look good. Here on the back of the hand, again, it's pretty smooth. You know, there's sculpted detail on there, but again, still pretty smooth. But if it was as fine a texture as this, I think it would have made a big difference. And then same going for the blade. Now, the sword has a little bit of texture to it, but not really a whole lot. Like, it's detailed, as you can see in the sculpt of it, but there's just something about this on the bottom of the dagger that just stands out a whole lot different. Maybe I'm crazy, but you guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of that? Like, if this whole blade was done in this gray, this shade of gray, or with that texturing or something, I think it would make a big difference in making this look not cheap. Now, at least the blade in this portion of the sword there, that's a slightly different gray, but like here down at the bottom, like what is this just gray little piece there? It just doesn't look as good in my opinion. So not that the accessories are terrible by any means, just again, I think, you know, a wash would have been nice, some kind of dry brushing or something added into the sword. It just would have looked a lot better in my opinion, and then the same goes for all those armored pieces. But enough nitpicky. Let's go ahead and now see his articulation. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation for Skaar. His head's going to be difficult to get him to look down and up. You can get him to look down a little bit there. The head it's got a very big hinge on there, and let's see what happens. I try to get him to look up a little too much, ends up pulling the head right off. Let's pop that head back on and see. Yeah, you're not going to get him to look up at all. You can turn the head a little bit. Again, the hair is going to get in the way. If we swap the heads, this one will give us a little bit of extra movement. So with the hair sweeping through the wind, you can get him to look up somewhat, which is good, and then down, and again, you can turn the head and do all that good stuff. Shoulder, you can get the shoulder to go straight on out like so. hinge, you get a full rotation in there. We got that butterfly joint, so it doesn't make a huge difference. It feels like maybe there was a little bit more room, that it could have gone back more, but just not quite. But you can get the arm to go back a little bit. In terms of crossbody, yeah, that's not really gonna happen. It just doesn't, it's not going to work. They would have to cut into the pec, and it would just look really bad in doing so. You got an upper bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, so you get just about 90-degree bend there at the elbow. There is a swivel at the elbow as well. The wrists swivel, stuttering, wrist swivel, same on the left and right hands, but the grip hands, actually, the right grip hand has the vertical hinge, which is good. So that would, like, say you're to wield the sword, like, it would make sense to have the, you know, the vertical hinge. But the left hand has the standard horizontal hinge. So interesting that they would do that, because why not just do both of them with the same hinge? Because they're both going to wield like a knife or dagger or the sword. You could swap them between the two hands. It would make sense that they would have the same range of motion. So horizontal hinge on the left, vertical hinge on the right. A little interesting that they did it that way. Okay, so torso, he has the ab crunch, so you can crunch forward that much there. Not a huge amount. You can crunch back that much there, which is good. We got a waist swivel in there, so you can get a little bit of turn. Legs go out. Legs go out pretty far apart, and yes, they're going to come apart because they are Build-A-Figure legs, so they do and can come apart. So that much, that far apart, it can kick forward that far. Leg goes back a little bit. You get the upper thigh cut in there. You get the double jointed knee, as you can see there. You do get some swivel at the boot. Foot hinges down quite a ways. And then you can get the foot to hinge up a little bit, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So pretty good articulation. When you have these large, bulky characters, you tend to get the single jointed elbows. Ab crunches tend to not do a huge amount, or like with some of the Hulks, you got the diaphragm cut, which don't do a whole lot of movement to begin with anyway. But there we go for Skaar. So now let's go ahead and try and get him into some menacing looking poses, you know, with his weapons, and then we'll see some comparisons. Okay, so just having some fun with Skaar right here. You can kind of position him around with the hair flowing, and then holding, you know, the sword and the dagger. And again, kind of the way the sword wielding hand, as you can see there, and then the dagger you can position inside of his hand how you want him. Okay, so kind of what I was talking about earlier with the hands, that I wish both hands had the same vertical hinges. Whereas here, like if you put the sword in the other hand, like I want to position that sword. Well, I guess that kind of fixed it. But, you know, if it had the vertical hinge, I think we would be able to kind of position it a little bit better of, you know, how you would want it. Okay, and then here with that butterfly joint, getting the arm to go a little bit back, you can kind of position the arm, you know, as he's ready to strike, which is pretty cool. So you can kind of do some things like that. So lots of fun. And then just kind of simply posing here, just looking menacing. You know, you can have Skaar like there. So let's go ahead and see some side-by-side comparisons. Okay, so big boys here. We got the comic Hulk, and there's been several different comic Hulks. This is just kind of the one that have most readily, easily available. I could just grab off the shelf and go. So we have here Skaar, son of Hulk, and Bruce Banner, father of Skaar, I guess we could say. So big size difference between the two, different shades of green. Hulk has a more bright greenish color. I also have a bright green light shining down on them. That's why you see a little bit of the green there. But more of a faded, lighter green for Skaar. But I do like the lighter color versus the brighter color green. In my opinion, I think it just kind of looks a little bit better as far as the skin tone. The bright green just kind of throws me off. Keeping it in the family here, we have Jennifer Walters, Bruce Banner's cousin, so this would make Skaar's second cousin She-Hulk. But anyway, Skaar and the newest She-Hulk figure that we got. And one of the newer Hulk figures that we got, the Totally Awesome Hulk, which is a Build-A-Figure. I kind of almost wish they would have gone with this torso. And even those arms, yes, we get the butterfly joint on this new one. But the butterfly joint doesn't give us a whole lot of added movement. I would have liked to sacrifice it for maybe for that diaphragm cut as opposed to the ab crunch. But you guys let me know what you guys would think of that down in the comments below. And I wonder if maybe the hip piece, since they were just going to reuse from the Caliban Build-A-Figure, if this torso and that hip piece could not work, or you know, I don't know. I mean, you would think if they had to just change the hip piece, it's less tooling cost than a whole torso with butterfly joints. But I don't know that stuff. It's just these thoughts in my head, which I wish, do this, do that. I don't know if those things could work or what it all goes involved with that. But I just like this torso setup more than the ab crunch here. And just because they use the same legs and I initially thought it was the same torso, here's the Caliban Build-A-Figure next to Skaar. While we don't have a Gladiator Hulk in Marvel Legends, well, I take that back. There may have been in the Fin Fang Foom wave, but that much older wave. I don't have any figures from that wave. I have the Fin Fang Foom Build-A-Figure itself, but no figures from that wave. But here we have this. This is the MCU Gladiator Hulk from Thor Ragnarok. So this would kind of be our closest match. It is a movie version of Hulk, so it's not quite the same. But as you can see, it's, you know, obviously inspired from the comic storyline when he's on Sakaar. So we have that there. So, I mean, you can kind of fudge this if you want. It's got, you know, the bright blue for the armor piece. If you wanted to paint some up, you can kind of make it a comic Hulk, maybe. You guys let me know if you guys have done that. But that's the closest thing that we have. So, there we go. Okay, and then so far, this is what I have reviewed of the Marvel 85th Anniversary action figure line, the anniversary line for this year. We have Skaar, we have Astonishing Wolverine, we have Superior Spider-Man. Next up is going to be the Heroes for Hire 2-pack of Iron Fist and Luke Cage, so stick with me as we check those out. Okay, that is my review of the Skaar figure. You guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this figure? Is it one that you're excited to be picking up? Again, prior to this, I wasn't overly hyped up or excited about this one. It wasn't one that I felt I needed for my collection. But, you know, anytime we can get some additional Hulk-related characters, that is pretty cool. You know, I think it's about time we get some extra villains to go along with that. But you guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the Skaar figure? Are you excited to be picking it up, or have you gotten it already? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching. And don't forget to check out toysnowman.com for your action figure needs. Link in the video description below. So all the Hasbro stuff, Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe, Star Wars Black Series, but they do the imports, SH Figure Arts, Mayfex, Joy Toy figures, Mezco figures, all of that stuff, NECA, all of it, toysnowman.com.